Hey there, a little bit more somber lesson today. September 11th, 2001. This is going to be a timeline of the different events that happened on this day and then the implications of what happened as a result of Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. First thing to talk about is 7:59 a.m. At this time, American Airlines Flight 11 is going to depart from the city of Boston, Boston Logan International Airport, heading off to LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. At 8:14 a.m., United 175 is going to take off from Boston as well, heading off to LAK. At 8:14 a.m., we're going to have American Flight 11 going to be hijacked. So American 11's been in the air for about 20 minutes. Of this time period, it is going to be hijacked. As what happens is there's a series of men on board this plane, strategically placed throughout the plane, who had taken box cutters onto their aircraft, had taken out red headbands, put them around their head, stood up and broke their way into the cockpit, killing the pilots and then taking control of the plane. Now, one thing that is important to understand at this time period, hijackings were not done as a way of killing people. Previously, hijackings were pretty much a way of taking the plane. You would land the plane in a different location, demand a ransom money, and then you would be on your way. Most people survived hijackings up to this time period. So when this is happening, no one is thinking that everyone on the plane is going to die. That is not something they think will happen, but this is what's going to be again happening. So at 8:14, the same time United Flight 175 is taking off from Boston, American Airlines Flight 11 is going to be hijacked, the first plane to be hijacked. At 8:20, American 77 is going to depart from Washington, D.C., Dulles International Airport, on its way to Los Angeles as well. Now, one thing I would like you to notice is that all these planes are taking off at roughly the exact same time. And there's a reason for this. You can catch people by the element of surprise, and we'll understand that a little bit more as we're going on. But by 8:20 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 takes off, departs Washington, D.C., and is heading to Los Angeles. At 8:24 a.m., American 175, we're going to hear the accidental message to air traffic control. So what's going to be happening, is the hijacker is trying to tell the people on the plane to calm down and everything is going to be okay, and accidentally sends this message to air traffic control.
American 11, are you trying to call?
Nobody move. Everything is okay. Everybody make any move within yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet. That's good. I see your references move.
So that message was accidentally sent to air traffic control. He wasn't quite sure how to work the communications on the airplane, and instead of telling that to the passengers, was sent to air traffic control. Now at this time, air traffic control realizes something very bad is happening, except they don't realize exactly how bad this day is about to get. Now, moving on, at 8:42, United Flight 175 is going to be hijacked. At 8:42 as well, United Flight 93 is going to depart Newark, New Jersey, on their way to San Francisco. Now, this is incredibly important to understand. This plane was actually delayed about 45-50 minutes on the tarmac, which is going to be a major, major change for everything that's going to be happening on this day. On board this plane, there's going to be 37 passengers, 7 crew, and then 4 hijackers. At 8:46, American Airlines Flight 11 is going to crash into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York, Lower Manhattan. Now, it's important to realize is number one, at this time period, most people thought this was an accident. People did not have really any clue what happened. People said there was a plane that crashed. They assumed it was like a small little plane that had accidentally crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. They did not think that this was a large-scale commercial aircraft that was purposely crashed into the World Trade Center. However, this is a major news event, so this time period, a lot of different news stations are going to start cutting into the live feed, explaining everything that is happening and showing people this dramatic scene coming out of Lower Manhattan. At 8:51 a.m., American Flight 77 is going to be hijacked. Then at 8:55, President George Bush of the United States is going to learn of the attacks. Now, he is going to be in a classroom reading a children's book to a group of children in Florida. His aide is going to come up to him and whisper in his ear, as you can see right here, that there has been an attack. If something is going on, these planes are getting hijacked and there is bad stuff happening. President Bush, not really knowing what to do, just kind of sits in silence trying to process everything for about 7 minutes. Now realize he has gotten a lot of flack for this, but do realize he was also in a classroom with small children really had to figure out how to respond, what to do from this time period. And again, no one at this time period really anticipates the large scale of this attack and has any clue what is happening. At 9:03 a.m., United 175 crashes into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. Now, the significant thing to understand about this one, a number of significant things, is this happens on live television. Okay, people are watching this thing. It's cut over, and I'll link some videos below showing these different things. But people are watching the first tower burn on TV, and all of a sudden they see a plane come across and smack into the side of this tower as well. At this point, virtually everyone realizes that that was not an accident, that someone's deliberately flying planes into the World Trade Center, and that this is a dramatic attack. 9:24 a.m., United Flight 93 is going to be notified of the attacks at this time period. There were phones that passengers could make phone calls as well. They haven't done that at this point yet, but that the pilots were notified of the attacks, and they're specifically told, do not open the cockpit door for any reason at all. Remember, United 93 was delayed about 40 minutes on the tarmac in Newark, meaning they had less time. The hijackers had less time to really act and take care of this. The pilots of United 93 are notified of the attacks at 9:24. A minute later, all planes in the United States are barred from takeoff. The Federal Aviation Administration realizes that something bad is going on. They don't know how many planes could possibly be hijacked, so any plane that is not on the air is no longer allowed to take off. Then at 8:29, United 93 is hijacked. The pilots on board that aircraft did end up opening the doors. What would happen is the hijackers would go to the flight attendants with their box cutter and basically hold it to her throat and tell her to open the door. And then she ended up opening the door. The captain of the plane opened the door. The pilots were stabbed, and then the hijackers took control of the aircraft. At 9:32 a.m., passengers of United 93 are going to be learning of the attacks. They find out they're hijacked. At this point, a number of them are going to take out the phones and call their loved ones back at home, at which point their families are going to tell them there's an attack going on, these planes were hijacked, this is not good. And this is going to lead to some really heroic actions by these members of this plane in United 93. At 9:37 a.m., American Flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon. And you can see that happening right through here through security camera footage of the Pentagon. I should say September 11th, the camera was apparently messed up going on at this time period, but this is September 11th, 2001. If you look to the far right corner of the screen, you can see just a second before the explosion, a plane coming down. The Pentagon is the head of the United States military. Their headquarters within Washington, D.C. It's going to crash into there. At this period, 9:42 a.m., the Federal Aviation Administration orders all aircraft flying over the United States grounded immediately. You are not taking off. If you're in the air, get on the ground wherever you're at. At 9:57 a.m., passengers on board United Flight 93 attempt to take back the plane. At this point, they realize that this plane is going to be hit into another building, and they realize that if they do not do something, more innocent people will be killed. This is going to happen as a result of them communicating with their family back on the ground. They're finding out what's happening. They're going to realize this is a bad thing. They have a high likelihood of not surviving this attack anyways. They realize they must do something. So the passengers on board take a vote, and they decide they're going to try to take back the plane. So the flight attendants heat up water and attempt to throw hot water on the hijackers, and they use a beverage cart to try to ram the cockpit door to get into the cockpit and take back the plane. At 9:59, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. There are firefighters inside here because no one, and I mean no one, anticipated these towers coming down. They're one of the tallest towers. They were one of the tallest towers in southern Manhattan, South Manhattan. No one anticipated this happening, so the firefighters are going inside this building. They hear a loud rumble, and the building starts coming down. At this point, everyone who's in the other tower, the North Tower, are ordered evacuated, get out of the building because they don't know what's going to happen. Now realize there's a number of firemen who are 30, 40, 50 floors up by this point, full of gear. It's going to take a lot of time for them to get out of the tower. From 10:02 until 10:03, United Flight 93 passengers breach the cockpit and get inside. We do hear from some of the recording from the black box, the hijackers at this point yelling, put it down, and simply saying, we're going to crash the aircraft and not make it to the destination. And then, as you can see right here, the plane crashes, it banks upside down, smashes straight into the ground in a field outside of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, killing all on board the aircraft. At 10:28, the North Tower of the World Trade Center is going to collapse, as you can see, going right through here. Again, people anticipated this might be happening after the South Tower collapsed and they ordered everyone out of the building. Result of this attack is 2,977 plus were killed. And that number is plus because there are still people who are dying as a result of this attack. Okay, as you can see right here in this photo of the firemen, a lot of dust and debris in the air, a lot of cancer-causing particles, and there has been a number of individuals who have died 5, 10, 15 years after the attack as a result of from cancer caused by these chemicals that were in the air. Over 6,000 injured this day. Okay, you can see this right here, this memorial that was put up, these two large spotlights symbolizing going up into the heavens, the towers, and all those who lost their life on that day. Additionally, President George W. Bush is going to visit a mosque on September 17th, 2001, about a week after the attack, and he makes this quote that the face of terror is not the true faith of Islam. That's not what Islam is about. Islam is peace. These terrorists do not represent peace. They represent evil and war. President Bush is what he was trying to do at this time period is unify a country. And there was a lot of anti-Islamic tensions in the United States. And he was trying to tell people that this does not speak for what Islam did. These men do not represent the faith of Islam. This is wrong, and this is not what Islam is all about. Al-Qaeda is going to claim responsibility. We talked about where they came from in the previous video. And the United States is going to respond by invading Afghanistan with the war on terror. If you have any questions, please get comments down below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Good luck.